Hi, welcome down to the plot. It's just after Christmas and we decided to get our sheets on. We've put the bottom sheets on, which is just a straight run around the sides. We've been using this hotspot tape just around the sharp edges and the up over the beams. So let's crack on and I'll show you how we're going to do this top cover. Now, before we start, let's just dispel a few urban myths in this. And you'll see loads of people and they'll still be saying, when should I put the polytunnel covers on? When they'll say, don't do it in the winter because of the storms. Now, there's going to be storms anyway. There's going to be storms in May, June, or throughout the year. And the idea is this isn't a yearly thing. This is going to be here for 7 to 10 years. So what's the point waiting until the winter storms have passed, because it's got to be storm-proof anyway, so they might as well get on with it. The other thing is that people say, well, don't put them on when it's cold, because the material won't get enough stretch in it. Now, yeah, and I would agree with them. If I was doing a polytunnel that was 20 foot by 60 foot, I'd put the cover on loosely. I'd get some space heaters in there, heat the whole thing up, get it so the material's nice and flexible, and get that on. But when you're only doing a small polytunnel, you can normally get enough tension in the actual plastic just on pulling it down. And one of the advantages that we've got is we've used the polytunnel brackets, and those brackets actually just clamp. They don't actually go into the pipes, they actually just clamp around the pipes. So if we come to summer and we find that actually we want to get a bit more tension in this polytunnel, what we need to do is actually loosen off all the brackets, and then we just push this rail down, and then we just push the bottom rail down, which is why when you're putting the bottom rail on, it's a good idea just to give yourself an inch or two above the ground level, because you can always fill in that area with some soil or something like that. But just give yourself enough pipe work at the bottom where the brackets are, so that when you come around later on and you want to tighten up the sheets for any reason, if they've stretched or when they've warmed up even more, you can actually just undo the clips, undo all the clips, stamp down on the rails or push down on these rails, and actually that will tighten up the whole skin. Now we've put this hotspot tape on. It's plastic pipe, and the idea of hotspot tape is so that when metal poles on polytunnels heat up during the summer, it protects the actual polythene sheet, so you don't get the polythene heating up excessively, which can shorten the life of the actual sheeting. Now with these black pipes, there's not such a problem. They will get warm and stuff like that, but primarily the point is that this stuff is sticky as you like on one side, and it's like really smooth on the other. It just makes putting the sheet on a lot easier, so you can just pull it across. So we've run the tape all across all the poles. At the end parts up here, we've just wrapped a load of stuff round, and then also masking tape round to actually sort of like protect the sheets when it comes over that metal pole at the end. One thing to remember when using this is on these ones, it goes straight on the upright. When you're doing the edge ones, you need to put it on the 45-degree angle. Imagine the sheet is actually going to wrap, it's going to come around this edge and wrap around. So the bit that it's actually going to touch is not so much this bit, but actually the corner part. So you need to put it on the corner part. So we've got all that on there, and then we've got the main sheet now to put on. Now, the way we're going to do that is via using like the normal polytunnel method, and putting a sheet on. Is we're going to get the sheet out, unwrap it. It should be actually a lot longer. We've got about 6 meters. We only need about 4 or 5. But actually, because of the price point, the price drops when you get 6 meters or more. So actually, it only costs a few extra quid to actually get the extra, and if we've got extra, we can use that for covers. We're also going to need a little bit of cover for when we come to do the guttering. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the cover on, line it up roughly on one side. Then what we're going to do is make sure we've got enough overhang on either side, and then we're going to clamp it at one end just above the doorway, And I'm going to pull that as tight as we can down to this side and then clamp it again. So we get a nice tight taut line across the top of the polytunnel. Then we'll clamp it roughly, and not too tight, but just a little bit of tension on it on one side. And then what we'll do is we'll pull the sheet over across the top to get the tension on this side, and then we'll readjust the other side. So we'll get the sheet out and we'll get that first bit clamped on, and then we'll be back with you. So I've got one side clamped now, and I've taken the end clamps off so it's not restricting me pulling it over. But as you can see, we've got quite a lot of excess material here, which is going to make it harder to pull down. So what we're going to just do is just go along and cut off the excess material. So we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of a play in the actual material. Just be careful when you do this, make sure you're actually not cutting off too much. Now if you were going right down to the base, obviously you could just like sort of get in here and stand on the material and stuff like that. But as I say, we want to be able to pull it down. So I'm going to just cut off this material around that area, and then we'll put the other bar on. So scissors in hand, let me get cutting. So I've cut off some of the excess material. That means I can just grab hold of it and give it a good pull. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this beam in roughly the right place. Just check that it's in line and lined up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is make sure I've got my screwdriver with me. So, just going to put that there like that. And then I've just got a couple of screws in there. So, first thing I'm going to do is just get that sheet, and somewhere around the middle, making sure that we're not creasing up too much, is really grab hold of it, and put it down. So the first one really is just there to hold the beam in place for me. So just pull those out of that end just to make sure that we're getting no creases. And then once we've done that, what we want to do is where we put one screw in, we want to pull down on the sheet, but also across. Okay, so down, so pull down, but also across slightly. And then we'll put that screw in there. If we're happy with that amount of tension, so at this stage we're just trying to get it tight on these beams. Just going to pull that down through. Now obviously we've got a little bit of give in here, but when we come to do the top part, we'll be pulling that tension tight across there. What's important is to get the tension along this line here, so along the line and down across. Yeah, so there will be a bit of bag in the top there, but when we do the ends, that will tighten up as well. Because we're going to come along to the next, roughly where the next beam is. We're going to just pull that down and then make sure we're pulling along the line. Put that in there as a clamping rail. And then we'll get that screwed in. So I'm going to carry on working my way along here, making sure I've got tension across the top, tension down the side here, and then we'll do the next step. Right, so we've now got a good tension across these beams. But as you can see, here it's still baggy, it's still a bit baggy at the top here, and stuff like that. And that's where getting the ends done is going to come in. So we're going to start again back with the top rail. So originally we did just pin this when we were putting the sheets on, just to keep it central. So we're going to start off with this. Start off, try and find where the central part is, and we're just going to pull that down. I'll put our clamping wood in there. Just make sure that you've got, so first thing, central screw. Okay, now once you've done that, you've still got a little bit of give in the actual underneath this wood, and that's the point at which you have to then sort of just flex that out. And what the aim is to just pull that down as tight as you can. I'm going to take that screw out because it's only a 30mm screw. A second. I'm going to put a 40mm one in there, because what we want to do is, as you probably see, the wood is sitting a little bit proud, been pulled out by the fact that the sheets come down. But then what we're going to do is just grab hold of this, pull it in. As I say, you need to sort of concertina it in thing, and then we're just going to put that. And there we go. Get that tension in there. I'm going to put another screw in here just to hold that steady. Again, just so you can get any more tension. You probably won't be able to get any more tension on this side. And this side, as you can see, it's all folded up. I'll take that 30mm screw out, which was just there to hold it in place. Put a 40mm screw in. And again, this is where you need to pull this sheet diagonally in. Now, if you've got a small child, then just hang them off the bottom, because it really is just a case of pulling that as tight as you possibly can. What I'm going to have to do is, that's just a little bit too long. Excuse me a second. I'm back. This end piece was just fouling a little bit on the other rail there, so it wasn't going in. And there we go. Nice and tight. And there we go. And that's that done. So obviously the next thing you need to do is get the side rails in. And again, that is just a similar case. Let's take these slightly short screws out. The reason we're using slightly longer screws is because when we put the bars on, they're sitting quite proud of the wood that we're screwing into, because the tension on the polythene, so we're pulling the polythene like that, and actually it needs to go back down. So we want to start off like that, and by screwing the panel in, it actually pulls and stretches it even further. So let's get some more screws. So we have used obviously quite a lot of screws in this project. My advice would be to go down to the, somewhere like Screwfix or one of the trade stores. Just buy a bulk box of like a couple of bulk boxes of 200. I mean, 200 screws is normally it's only about £3 when you buy them in bulk. So it's not too expensive. You don't need any flash screws or anything like that. So again, here it's about concertinaing it in. So as you can see, all this excess here, because you come around a curve, so it's there. So you want the curve there, and then when you're pleating this, try if you can to pleat it top. So pleat it so it's that way round rather than that way round. Otherwise, water just collects in here and it just runs down into your doorway. At least this way round. So again, we're going to just get some pull on that. Pull that round. Let's start with the top. Get the top piece in there. That is obviously not the piece for there, because it's too long. Should have labelled them all up, shouldn't I? Again, we're just replacing those slightly shorter screws with longer ones. So we're going to start at the top, get plenty of tension on there, get that in there. Just get that fixed. Now we don't want to tighten it completely because we want to have a bit of play in here so that we can actually fold this stuff up. So I'm just going to, again, pull that tension across. Have fun with it. So just put a bit of strain on it. And hopefully, now we've got these in place, this, all drum skin wise, I mean, you can get them like, you can get them so that they are like literally skin tight. The way to do that is to, as I say, is to use the polytunnel brackets, and once you've got this set level of tension on it, loosen off the brackets inside and then shove the whole bar down. But ideally what you want to do, as I say, you want to wait for, and this, we'll probably end up doing that, but we'll obviously wait for a slightly warmer day when it's all nice and toasty and it's nice and stretchy. But as I say, there's no point really waiting, because we want to get on with this project, and having the polytunnel built now with the skin on it, it's going to be fine. It's tight enough that it's protected from the wind, and if we do need to retension it, we've got the option later on, but I suspect we won't need to retension it at all. Right, and then it's a similar approach. We're just getting this this base part in. So we're now going to put the base part in, and that'll finally give the tension into that side. So we've got just enough material here just to grab hold of. We're going to pull that across like that. Get that in there. Final little bit, just get that in there. Let's pull this down as tight as we can. Got that last little section in. And there we go. And obviously we've got all this excess material that we need to cut off, but as I say, we're going to be needing some of this material when we come to do the actual guttering. Right, so I'm going to crack on and get the other side done, and then go and do the far end, and then join me in a minute when we've got all that done and we've cut all the excess plastic off. So we've finished trimming everything off, and here we go. Is our polytunnel all covered and ready for use. So that's a quick look inside. So at the moment it is just full of the offcuts on the sheets. One thing to note on these sheets though is that when you buy the covering sheets, they'll have obviously the reference on them like this little reference number on them to say what type of sheets it is, and also a batch number. There'll also be somewhere on the sheets, so I can't see it here relevant at the moment, but when I tidy these sheets up, there will also be a batch number, normally printed just in black ink on the edge, right on the edge of the sheet. It's worth just cutting that off and keeping a copy of that. That's just sort of manufacturer sort of defect, sort of quality control number. So if you do find there's some sort of manufacturing defect with your sheet, they're normally guaranteed for about 7 years. But if you do find for some reason they degrade really quickly, you'll need that code number to go back to them to actually tell them what sheet it was that you had. So keep hold of that bit. So here we have our new polytunnel, and I mean, good tension on there. We're quite happy with that, and that should last us a good few years. And we just need to work out what the configuration for this one is. Now we're going to probably, I'm thinking that we'll probably have beds down, thin beds down either side, maybe have pots down the middle part in here, maybe have a bench, like a potting bench or something down at this end, and then tucked in here behind the door we'll probably have put some sort of shelves just for some storage. So we'll probably use sort of about 3/4 of the length for growing in, and then the other bits for a little bit of storage. The other thing we've done is we've installed, this is the armoured cable that we ran from the 12-volt battery. I've just wired this back in. So we've got a polytunnel lights, greenhouse lights, water pump, floodlights, and just watering systems. Obviously nothing connected to them yet, but panels all installed, ready to go. So we will actually be putting some LED lights in here, which we'll be doing in one of the videos coming up. And we'll be just doing the same for the greenhouse. So we've got some nighttime lighting, so we can be down here when it's still dark and still getting on with stuff. So that's about it for me for today. I just got to pack the tools up and head on home. So I don't know if it'll be the next video or the one after. I'll have to wait and see. But the next thing we're going to be doing on the polytunnel is we're not going to be doing the guttering quite yet, because I haven't got anything actually to put the water in that it drains off into. So I need to get some containers or find some cheap alternatives for some water butts to actually put on the edge of the polytunnel. But we will be putting the polytunnel on these, the guttering on these rails, draining around to the other side. But the next video we'll be doing about the polytunnel will be the cost video. So I'll be running through all the costs and everything else that it's cost to us to do this, where I think you can save money, and then comparing that also to like a fully bought kit from one of the polytunnel manufacturers. So if you want to see that, don't forget to subscribe, and then you'll get notified when I put that video out. But for today, that is about it. Let's just go and have a quick wander down the pathway and just have a quick look how it's looking from a distance. And there we go. There is our polytunnel, fully skinned, fully built, and all ready for use. Not a bad job. Good day's work. Catch you again next time. Cheerio.